Welcome to the Dynasty Podcast. We are back at it. I have no idea what week it is, but we are making progress on our weekly routine, and we have 1 week in the books. Both Ben and I are still undefeated. Won't last long, I'm sure. But it feels good to be kicked off through week one. I didn't get to watch a lot of football, Ben. I'm not going to lie. I was enjoying Yosemite, which turned out to be pretty delightful. But I'm jealous of those that just got to sit around and watch football all weekend. I tried to catch up through some replays. Got to watch my Bears shit the bed again. But overall, how are your feelings after week one in the fantasy world?
I think I would speak for everyone when I say I hope you enjoyed Yosemite 100 times more than we would imagine you did, because it was probably the best week of football I can remember.
The best week of football, huh?
Yeah, wow. Absolutely.
I looked at the box scores and I thought it was just from some of the fantasy outputs and big names not doing jack squat. I thought it was,
exactly.
This is probably
you didn't watch any of the games.
Oh, okay.
Did you not bother watching that Ravens-Buffalo game?
I did, but that could be the game of the year for sure. I sat down over coffee when I was at Yosemite the Monday morning, and I watched the last 20 minutes because I had heard they came back from 15 down. So that was great. But I guess I just didn't realize that there were other games that really kind of led.
Everything was kind of close. A lot of kickers shitting the bed. There was the only crazy blowout was the Dolphins.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they got, I don't know. I thought we were going to see a coach get fired after week one for the first time ever.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine they give him at least 4 games, but it could go downhill real fast. Yeah.
What's the point, Ventura? They would have a better chance of having a decent record if they fired him today.
Yeah.
Nobody respects him. He's doesn't even want to be there. It's, his whole, I'm bored with the media thing is now officially, I'm bored with my job.
Well, how quickly things can change, because 3 years ago they were this guy's, he's the belle of the ball in Miami, and now he's he's a meme to most people. But that's the world we live in. You either put up or shut up, and can turn on you quickly. All right, gentlemen. So here's kind of the idea today. Ben and I want to discuss just some transparency and clarity on what's going on with the waivers. There seems to be some confusion across the leagues that we're playing in. So that'll be agenda number one. We did talk about trying to keep kind of some of the segments consistent from this point forward. So we have more of a structure, some quick hitters. We're going to talk about 3 things that we notice on offense and defense, just NFL kind of fantasy related. I'll focus more on the offense, and Ben will focus on the defense as per usual. We're going to talk about some surprises in BC. Some surprising outcomes, whether that be individual players, just overall themes, or some matchups that maybe didn't go the way some people thought were going to go. And then we're going to dig into just some key takeaways on the defensive snap counts. Ben is going to continue with his Keep It Snappy segment. That was a big hit last year. And then we'll see where it takes us. For the most part, we're going to try to keep this to an hour and a half so you guys can enjoy it in your leisure time. And I will try to keep the cuss words under 12 today so you can enjoy it with your kids if you would like to do that. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit about some of the defensive surprises in the week one. Ben, what caught your eye?
What caught my eye is that the Green Bay Packers defense is going to be a problem, and Micah Parsons didn't even play that much. They can stop the run really well. I think there's a lot of overreaction to Detroit, and I think Ben Johnson not being there is a problem, and maybe Aaron Glenn leaving is a problem. They're all 0-3, so you know, it's a long year, and they all didn't look horrible, in my opinion. I do think the Lions couldn't get it rolling, specifically because of how well the game plan from the Green Bay defense was. I think they're going to be really good, and because like when Michael Parsons gets in there, all these guys that used to get double teams or kind of get way too much attention, they're just getting one-on-ones. They were kind of exposing that offensive line a little bit, but I think they have a lot of guys that are going to win one-on-ones. So when Micah's in there, it's a problem. And I think, not to rag on Dallas too much, but like they had okay other guys at the line, and I think Gary and Wyatt and they have playmakers. They have playmakers on that front seven. So now it's like you throw Micah in there, and everyone's just looking that way and trying. He still was disruptive as hell. He'd only been there 5 fucking days, So I think the Packers are going to be a tough defense to score fantasy points again. It's in general. So I don't know if I'd panic on much on the Detroit end until you see them kind of fail a little more. That's kind of.
Yeah, we'll get to see how they do against the Bears in the Dome on turf. As we talked about, I was comfortable going with their under and wins this year. I think it's going to be a way more balanced division, but it looks like Green Bay could be the cream of the crop and take over with that 11-12 win outcome, perhaps. Micah played 26 snaps on defense or something like that.
Yep.
Which is going to be an issue for the NFC North for sure. But it's week 1, as you mentioned. A lot of teams lost that, will still make the playoffs. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. It's year over year these type of things happen. I was surprised that the Detroit offense struggled as much as it did. But again, it's a new scheme, new system. I saw something with Dan Campbell having to answer some stupid question about, well, couldn't you just run the same offense that you ran last year with Ben Johnson and keep it relatively the same? And he's just like, no, you can't. I mean, you have to trust the new offensive coordinator and what he's trying to do and let it, but that could be changes in motions.
You're also in the same division. Like, what do you want? You want to just lose those 2 games because you're using another guy's plays that he knows when they're coming?
Right. Well, I think there's going to be a little bit of that. Yeah. I mean, Ben Johnson should know how to attack that defense slightly, I would think. But, I mean, a different defense coordinator, but at least tendencies of players. And I think that might be the biggest thing. I mean, he had those guys on offense, too. Like, he knows how, what bothers Jared Goff, right? And how he needed to call plays to make him feel comfortable. So I think there is an advantage there. But the defense coordinator is new. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one for the Bears, and I'm not expecting a positive outcome, but I think it'll be a close game.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears defense didn't look too bad either, to be totally honest. I saw a lot of tape on it. What they did really well, and they'll probably continue to do, is they disguised their man to zone really well. I think that's actually how they got J.J. McCarthy so flustered early, is because they showed a lot of stuff that Dennis Allen used to do back in his other days, but it was all smoke and mirrors. So I always thought Dennis Allen could be a good defensive coordinator, and I think some guys can't be head coaches, and they're better off being defensive coordinators. So we'll see, man. I think you got a lot of talent. I think you had a lot of people hurt, and so I'm interested to see how they respond, especially in that next game. Because in theory, you should be able to do very similar things to what Green Bay did to them. So it'll be a good game. I think you have the personnel to make an upset there, and it would be pretty nice for you guys after a game you quite frankly should have won. But just we don't have to talk about it. But
No, I thought
a little bit of bad refereeing, a little bit of just not being able to snap out of it when you needed to, when some momentum was swinging, and
yep.
Kevin O'Connell knows how to get our guys like believing once we get that momentum going, and that's a tough thing to stop.
I thought we were outcoached a little bit on offense. I thought he called a good second half where Ben Johnson, kind of just seemed a little bit vanilla, kind of in the mid third of the game. I thought Flores had a pretty interesting strategy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like he didn't blitz a lot early and played more coverage, and probably confused Caleb with, okay, I gotta drop this one down. I can't take these shots here and there, and was playing pretty conservative. And then he sped him up in the second half and brought pressure, making him have to make those throws when they were crucial, especially when it got close. And I think that and you guys being able to establish the run with Mason really gave you a spark. And you could just kind of feel then once you could run and get it to 2nd and 4 or 3rd and 2, then you had McConnell calling some pretty awesome play calls. And McCarthy, I didn't think he played spectacular, but I think he did show.
His fourth quarter was very, very, very good, but the rest of his game was not at all. And his first half was really bad. But specifically, like I said, man, I saw in the replays in a lot of cases we weren't running the right routes. Like receivers were running into each other on crossers. It was a lot of confusion because I think, like I said, what they did really good and what we game plan for was recognizing when they were running man, when they were running zone, and he flipped that on its head. And it worked. It didn't just confuse McCarthy. It also confused you could tell our O-line got confused at times, and then the receivers were getting a little flustered because it was kind of, you have knowing where you need to get to a spot. If it's man or zone, it's very different, right? So when you're guessing wrong in that case, it's kind of everyone's, up shit's creek. I think with you guys, I think when you say, when we were rushing 4, I think that's what we want to do in general. But the problem was it was successful, but Caleb got out of every single time we were in his shit. Right? Yep. So, we were getting pressure, especially up the middle a ton, but Caleb was getting out of it and then making really big chunk plays with his legs. And so I think I think that's when Brian Flores started putting more pressure in general because you just had to maintain for the gaps. I was actually super pissed at halftime for how little we were blitzing. Okay. And then I think doing that in the second half really was the difference.
Oh.
So, I mean, I think that was a very weird game, and I think the overreaction theater on both sides I wouldn't say both sides. Well, maybe I don't know. I was suicidal the first half. I thought my fucking next 10 years was over, and then I think every Bears fan was suicidal at the end of the game. So it's in some weird way, we're looking at, probably not the best work, and a couple franchises who are a little frustrated with.
I think there's lofty expectations. Yeah, there's lofty expectations.
I think there is, but I think there's also a lot to grow, and there's a lot of good stuff that happened on both sides of the ball. But also, it's now it's the way the talking heads just wore out both sides of the argument. It's like you were even saying, I saw Bears fans calling for Tyson Bagent. It's simmer the fuck down, bro. Come on, man.
It's disgusting.
Y'all gotta I understand. I really was looking at how bad after the pick six, I was really, really worried McCarthy was gonna.
I think you have to be impressed that he bounced back after that because that should have.
We could have lost that game. I wouldn't have cared because he bounced back. Because he bounced back and then went and scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. If you guys found a way to come back and win that game, I think that would have been the perfect scenario where we would have both been really happy with the result. Because I wouldn't have been mad we lost. I would have been our guy doesn't suck. He's he can put a team on his back and he can kind of the guys believe in him. you could see that by the end of his like third quarter. It's like, it's about winning, but it's also about responding and just being resilient. You see a half like that in the very first time. It's like, man, it's so stupid. Like, it's almost to be expected. Like, the kid hasn't played since the Michigan championship game, like in a full game of football. It's like, okay, yeah, so he needs to knock off some rust. It just looked bad, really bad. But it was also like, I think it's very unfair to not give the Bears defense credit for that first half. I think they game planned very well for the Vikings in general. And so when it's all going bad and you have a rookie going like, shit, this isn't what it was supposed to be, pretty wild.
Yeah,
I'm looking
I'll wrap it up by saying this because we're not even supposed to be talking about this necessarily. But I knew when you sent me a text and said this was over before it started. That's just silly business because the line was -1.5 or whatever it was, and you know that it's gonna get tight. B, the one highlight of Caleb missing the throw late to DJ Moore is not a missed throw. First and foremost, if you would look at the all 22. It's a fucking post route that if he didn't throttle down, that ball with pressure up the middle and getting blasted as he's throwing the ball was released when he had to release it to a spot where the guy's supposed to be. So I get so frustrated with people just trying to blow up a kid that's still only in his second year of football. Like, yes, he's the number 1 overall pick. Yes, he paints his toenails and his nails and, is a little quirky. Who gives a fuck? Like, he kept them in that game in the beginning of in the first half, was absolutely lights out, made some exceptional plays that only a few quarterbacks can make. And, he got flustered in the second half, and it wasn't all on him. There was, some penalties that, took us out of drives that shouldn't have been penalties. There's points that the coach left on the board. There's a couple of throws that he didn't make. But it's week 1. There's 8 of the 10 top quarterbacks didn't have great week 1 performances, for Christ's sake. It's just, I don't know. I just get frustrated with Bears fans in general. And it's just, honestly, it's not even probably Bears fan. It's what's wrong with our society in general is everybody takes the headline and just jumps all over it. And a week or 2 weeks from now, they're going to have a complete silent moment. And then when it's bad again, then they're going to call for heads. It's like they have no balls because they just want to jump on someone when they feel like there's an opportunity. But they'll never backtrack when he does good things, or anybody does good things for that matter. So it's so fucking frustrating. I want to cancel my Twitter account because I can't deal with dumbass people, not just about football, but about anything. Like, have a little bit of fucking wherewithal where it's just like, hey, you know what? I can agree with you or disagree with you. That doesn't mean you need to get shot over it. Like, stupid shit like that just is really starting to piss me off. But I don't want to go on that tangent. So, any other major observations?
R.I.P. Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, exactly. Whether you like him or not, it's fucking sad and tragic that's what we've come to as a nation. Anyway,
we're a terrible race. Humans are fucking. What a wasted species.
Yeah, well,
We
you
really
just have to you got to keep your circles small and just realize that it's a very small portion of the people that are absolutely disgusting. Hopefully, but it's that population seems to be growing. Regardless, we're here to talk about fantasy football and BC. So go ahead and give me another take or insight that you have from week 1.
Yeah, so I think a team that... This is actually not a defensive take, Corey, but it kind of is. I think if you, as a strategy, want to attack the Houston Texans' offensive line, meaning, if you ever have a coin flip situation where you're playing a guy is going against one team and another guy is going to go against the Texans' offensive line, if that's a D tackle or a D end or even a linebacker who blitzes some, play that guy. The Houston offensive line is probably going to be one of the worst ever. It's so bad, and like I really think, my defensive take is just like that game was only close because their defense is very good, and D'Amico Ryans is a great defensive mind. They're running a good defensive scheme. They were able to control McVay pretty well to keep it close. but boy, man, they are Swiss fucking cheese. They can't run block. They can't pass block. I think they were rated last in both, 30th and 32nd. I'm telling you, as a strategy, if you're playing teams with team defenses, like don't think like there's Stroud and Nico Collins and like, dude, like that offensive line is going to cause so many turnovers. And I really think, sadly, all the players that we want for fantasy, like the Stroud, bounce back, that's not happening with this offensive line. There's just no way. Unless they figure some new offense where they're just going to get the ball out in 0.5 seconds. I've never seen, quite frankly, a line get beat up as bad as they did. So either that means the defensive front for the Rams is extremely good, which they are. They are. Don't get me wrong, but I think if you're into gambling, sack totals or sack overs, I would always take whoever's going against Houston.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah, I mean it's a problem. Maybe it's like Ed Ingram was their best player. He got hurt, and like I saw people that were like Texans fan were like, "What do we do?" And I'm like, Ed Ingram is like the worst offensive lineman I've seen for the Vikings in the last 10 years, and he's your best guy. This is really bad. Like it's not going to work out. Sorry, guys. And then let's see, my third take that I just don't want to overreact to, but I really want to understand and try and see how fluky it was like, are the Jets and the Steelers defenses really bad, or were their offenses just having really good days? You know what I mean? Because like a 34-32 point game for the Steelers and Jets, like, I mean, I don't know, Corey. What? How much money would you need to get to like take that over? Like,
yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean.
All the experts are saying it's a 15-9 type game or something like that.
Yeah, man. Just like it was like cool. Two heavy defenses going to get to do is like both the quarterbacks looked like Hall of Famers. I don't know. They diced them up. I thought, it's pretty, especially on the Jets side. I thought Fields passed the ball really well. He didn't just get runs like, Garrett Wilson ate. We'll see. Those teams, like, that's something's fool's gold there, and I don't know what it is. And I wonder if the fool's gold is actually that their defenses just are going to get better. But like, I guess my take is like, I wish I knew if those defenses were going to be bad or if it was just an outlier, because they sure beat up on each other.
Yeah. Well, the Breece Hall noise is pretty silent these days, too. It seemed like that was cleared up pretty quickly as far as who was going to get the majority of the touches. And yeah, I mean, that was a shocking score when I saw it. Rodgers obviously played well. I had heard that Fields looked great, but as good as it can be one week, it can be bad the next, and that's just the NFL. So I'm excited to sit down and watch the game tomorrow and the rest of the week and see what some of the shifts are. So on offensive side of the ball, I wanted to point out that kickoffs returns matter now. Here's some statistics. 75% of week one kicks were returned. That's the highest percentage since 2010. DK or Dyke, we'll call him Dyke just for the fun part of it, led the league in week one with 10 plus points on kickoff returns alone. That doesn't mean he had a few, I think, punt returns and maybe a run or a carry or something too. But that outscored Jamar Chase, Higgins, A.J. Brown, Ridley, Hill, Adams, Waddle, Hunter, Collins, St. Brown, Jamison Williams, you name it. I mean, those 10 points from a rookie wide receiver Or I mean, obviously he's not going to do it every week and have 141 yards. I think he had a long at 71, but there were several guys. Even Luther Burden had a 41-yarder. Those points are going to start adding up, especially if they're getting touches on offense or punt returners. Just for example, if someone had 40 returns on the season for an average of 35 yards and had one TD, they will score just under 100 points on kickoffs alone, which is doable given the amount of returns that we expect compared to the last season. And as another example, Dyke was the best performing rookie wide receiver in week 1, and he did not have a catch. So I think it's going to matter, and anybody that grabbed kickoff return specialists and they have that role, a.k.a. Caleb Johnson, still has a pulse. I think you made some pretty smart decisions based off the rule. And quite honestly, we should have expected
Emeka Mbuka.
Oh, I did put a Buka in there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Mbeka's just so old and crafty. I just didn't consider him to be a rookie wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's the only one he did not.
He looks like he's been doing it for 100 years.
He would have been the second. He would have been the second ranked wide receiver. That's my bad.
I think I'll take 2 of your points real quick, Corey. I don't really think we need to start flouting out rookie returners and comparing them to people like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but I think as a strategy where it was a very fringe thing is if when you're looking at a wide receiver 2 or 3, probably more in the 3 range, guy going to get 70% snaps, you're hoping for a 4 for 45, maybe a TD line. These returners are going to almost give you such a higher floor. They don't have the ceiling, which is why you can't compare them to the studs. I mean, I know it happened, but we could play that game for whoever
I'm
has
just using
off
it
days.
as I'm not comparing, saying you'd rather have Dyke than any of those guys. I'm just
no. By the way, I think what my point is the relevance when it comes to us playing in BC and in contract killers. For example, I played. I played Jalen Naylor. He was the 3rd wide receiver, and he got, a long couple of catches, a long one. And if I played Miles Price, I would have scored a lot more. And Miles Price didn't catch a pass.
Miles Price looked good, man.
Yeah, and he was a kick returner and a punt returner. And I got that guy off the waiver wire. And another one that I got in some leagues, he might have gotten picked up in our free agent auction in BC, was the cornerback for the Buffalo Bills. Didn't play a single snap at cornerback and scored 10 points. Just off of kickoff returns. Man, that is crazy. That's like, the Marcus Joneses. I think he's actually playing, but I think he's only punts now. But if you do kicks and punts and you're a cornerback or even one of these wide receivers,
oh yeah,
when we're just
I
playing
think someone like Keyshawn Nixon or somebody from he could be one of the more valuable players if he's returning kicks. Or wasn't it Deron Bland that was doing that for the Cowboys? I know he's not doing it this year, but there's several of those cornerbacks.
There's some that come in, like Nixon will do it. But I mean, I think it's just like the points well taken. Like we knew it was going to be more returning. We knew it was going to be more yards in theory. Like they were building it to do that. The impact should have maybe taken it up 15 to 20%. It looks like it could go with 30 plus.
The hard part is though you don't know who's going to win those jobs early on in a camp.
Well, there's two tricky things. There's 2 tricky things with returns. Okay, like like for example, I'll take the Vikings. So it was Ty Chandler and Miles Price were the 2 returners, right? So when Miles Turner started bringing it out, they started kicking to Chandler. Okay, right. So like if that happens, the problem is if you have a guy who's really good and then they start kicking to the other guy, and then all of this also is predicated on the other team scoring a lot of points, right?
Yeah.
Because you need to get kickoffs. That's lots of field goals, lots of touchdowns. Because you need to get the kickoff to happen. And so, like, games really low scoring, or, maybe you pitch a shutout, those guys will have weeks where it's not great. But I don't know, man. I think when you're taking the gambles on some of these fringe guys and you're like, hey, man, it says this guy's predicted for 8 points or 7 points. It's like, well, maybe I'll just take my 10 from my returner.
And that's a perfect segue. I picked up Kevin Duvernay in LOEG just because he's the kickoff returner and the punt returner, and I'm going to play him over Jalen Tolbert. I'm going to play him over Sean Tucker because they didn't get touches.
Turpin,
and I at least
man.
know I'm going to Turpin.
In that league,
Turpin is pretty solid.
In that league, I played Turpin. Turpin got a couple catches. He had some kickoff returns. They're kicking away from him already because he was elite last year. Yep. But it's a very similar thing. He still got some. And, man, it's like all of a sudden you're like, wait, he's...
Plus, he caught 3 balls, too.
Exactly. He's, sitting right behind CD in fantasy points. And you're like, wait, what? So...
Crazy.
It's quite an impact in these leagues, and I like it. I think some people probably didn't adjust accordingly or focus strong enough on it. I tried to. I got Xavier Smith for the Rams and Miles Price now, so I'm pretty happy with those 2 return options. And it's looking at playing him or Torrey Horton and Jalen Naylor, who start and are the 3rd wide receiver. All of a sudden, it's like, do I want to take the floor or do I want to take the upside? It's actually a conversation somehow.
For sure. The other point I had was obviously it seemed like the rookies struggled in week 1. I went back and looked at the top 15 picks. If you took the average of points scored in week 1, it was 9.9 points. Obviously, there's some bright spots with Mbuka and Warren. It seemed like they kind of shined and were heavily utilized and had big performances. Concerned a little bit for Caleb Johnson, just because he seems to be 3rd on the depth chart.
I think he only had 3 carries.
Yeah, it's going to take some time, obviously, with, I think, Rodgers there, too, especially. It's probably pass protection and people they trust in that spot a lot more. But I think he'll get going. At least he had the average. He had 9.9 points all in kickoff returns. I think he lost
kickoff returns, man.
So I expect, Henderson and Genty to have big week 2s. I think based off of, I think Genty had 75 or 80% of the snaps. Henderson seemed to be, as I think we all know, the better running back in that game. I wouldn't be worried about those guys getting started here pretty quick. And it kind of seems like Keenan Allen has destroyed the Trey Harris year 1 value, at least. Keenan Allen looked pretty darn good in a familiar role in the Chargers.
So did Johnson? Quentin Johnson?
Oh, yeah. Quentin Johnson.
Quentin Johnson, thank you.
2 touchdowns. 2 TDs.
I think, he has the dropsies, man. He didn't drop passes, at least yesterday. We'll see if that keeps up but, I saw somebody point out, it's like, hey, man, Justin Herbert just supported 3 healthy wide receivers.
I think your boy talked a little bit about Justin Herbert in one of the podcasts, and I do have him mentioned here. I said Herbert is that dude. He had 35 pass attempts. I told everybody he was going to rush more like Josh Allen. He rushed 7 times for 42 yards, and they only had 16 attempts rushing the football by the running backs. So I think that'll balance out when they're not playing the Chiefs. But I think Harbaugh knows what he has in that quarterback, and I think he does have the weapons to be a legit pass first, running, keeping them off balance with the run, leaning into it when they're up. But that dude looked pretty fucking good.
I think it was an incredible game plan for the Chiefs. Don't try and play ball control with a team that's too exposed. You just got to keep driving on them.
Yep.
Every time it felt like they were just going to get vanilla and just start running it, man, they would just air it out. And Herbert's good enough to do it, man. People talk shit on him, but I think I watched him light the Vikings up so fucking hard 2 years ago. I mean, it was like, this guy's a dog.
Well, it's perfect segue because the last thing I wanted to talk a little bit is about the young QB play, right? I think we do a horrible job of crowning people too early and shitting on people. So we've talked about Justin Fields, we've talked about Herbert. I mean, they're in what, fifth, sixth season now. I mean, Baker Mayfield's another example. It took him 2 or 3 different spots, and now we're talking about him like he's a top 5 quarterback. Like, why do we get into this pattern of Jaden Daniels having a really exceptional rookie year, which he did, but crowning him like he's the second coming of Christ, or Bo Nix, or Drake May in some circles? It's like they're still young rookie quarterbacks that have a lot to improve upon, and now they're getting schemed against, and they have different situations. I think it's a little bit early to start crowning guys, and then also it's too early to start saying guys are shit. So I went through and I just graded each one of the quarterbacks on the younger quarterbacks, either first or second year guys that have played. So I gave May a C. I didn't think he looked good. I went back and watched most of these games in speed up mode. I think they were calling him kind of a mini Josh Allen. I think we're a long ways away from that. But even Josh Allen took a little time to develop. So let's have a little bit of patience here. Jaden Daniels, I gave a B. I mean, 19 for 31. He rushed the ball pretty effectively. He was playing the Giants, which is going to be a tough defense. But again, I thought there was going to be a regression, not only for him as a quarterback, but also for the Redskins. And I mean, obviously, Deebo Samuels kind of has a little bit of an uptick. It seems like he's going to have a solidified role in that offense. I think they'll be good. I don't think they're going to be near as good as they were last year, and I don't think he will be either. I gave Bo Nix a C-. I was not high on him last year, and I think because of his age and his maturity, like, he was probably best suited in kind of that Sean Payton offense to play control football, not make too many mistakes. And then I think if you put him in uncomfortable situations, he's gonna make mistakes. So why aren't we crucifying him with some of the awful throws that he made? And when you have 3 turnovers, so he gets a C-. I gave my boy Caleb a B-. I thought he was good in the first half. I mean, he made some plays, like I said, that there's only a few quarterbacks that can make. I thought he used his feet the way I've always wanted him to extend drives, to release pressure and just, move the chains. And so he was, I thought, awesome in the first half. He missed a couple throws. 4th down throw was a tough one, but I saw another video of that, and if he throws it where it's supposed to, he might get DJ Moore's getting sent to the locker room for the second time that game, because that safety was right over the middle and could have blew him up. But it's a missed throw, right? Probably released it too quick, and and he made a few of those, and he looked a little squiddish. But you have to take the good with the bad. And again, I just think it's too early to crown people. They have to, or to say that we have to move on, and the kid's the worst quarterback in the history of the NFL. It's too early, and we need to have a little patience. McCarthy, I gave a B. I thought he was poor in the first half, but I don't think it was all on him. It was just kind of getting their bearings down. They looked a little out of sorts. The Bears' defense is a pretty good defense. Just same thing as the Vikings. Those are pretty good defenses. I would say they're going to be top half, top 12 defenses for the rest of the year. Division game, on the road, first game. What I liked most about him was he did throw some really great passes. Jefferson had 2 drops. I don't care what anybody says. He dropped the one that would have made it 3rd and 1 on the goal line.
So Adam Thielen had one, too.
And he dropped the one that was normally, it's a high ball, but normally Justin Jefferson makes that catch. And so you count that one. The touchdown he threw was an absolute dart, and he threw another crosser with the fourth quarter. The halftime coming up, which isn't a big throw, but he made the plays when he needed to do it. So I think you have a lot to look forward to there, and I think he'll have some games where he struggles. The pick 6 was awful. He stared it down and threw it, and they were all over that. But he bounced back from that, and I think that's probably the most exciting part. There's a lot of rookie quarterbacks would have went and put their head on the bench, but he came back, and once he got a little momentum and confidence in himself, he looked pretty good. Penix, I gave a B+. Like, I think, again, he's a little bit older quarterback, and, he started getting ramped up last year. I thought he looked pretty good. He had obviously a large passing day. I think I think that's their guy for a while. But I think they're gonna figure out how to scheme towards him as he has more starts under his belt, and we'll see. He looked a little bit more mobile, I think, than maybe people gave him credit for coming into the draft with his knee injuries and whatnot. So that was something interesting to see. And then I gave Ward, a C minus. I think it's his first start. I think he kept him somewhat in the game.
He looked a little better than that. I thought
Yeah.
for his first start, rookie, even though he is 2 years older than JJ, I thought he could have looked way worse. And I think Ridley had 2 terrible drops in that game.
And Denver's a tough
know,
defense.
man.
I don't care what anybody says either.
Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff. I think a lot of these, like, let's say this is Justin Jefferson and Ridley, like a lot of these guys who are just like not, just had a little hamstring tweak or something that they were protecting, but like when you don't get reps, man, you gotta get a lot of reps.
At game speed, yeah.
Yeah, man. Like wide receivers, they can probably pick it back up faster. But like in these types of games, man, like those 2 drops could difference be beaten in a team and not, So it's a lot of really good wide receivers drop balls this.
It was just a low scoring kind of not a lot of fantasy output game for the most part. I think that's just common over looking at some of the stats I looked at, which is kind of leading into the next segment, which is some surprising outcomes in BC, right? Like overall, it was just a low scoring output, and typically the defenses win early because it's not as much skill and timing and consistency with reps and things of that nature. It's pretty common to see that. I think in BC only 8 teams scored over 200 points, and I was like, wow, that's pretty low. Like if you looked at some of the top 10 rankings, like there weren't many of us that scored above 200 points. But then I look back into week 1 of last year, and there was only 9 that scored 200 plus points in week 1. And that's a pretty low output for teams that have all of their starters. There's no bye weeks. But at the same time, last year in week 2, 13 teams scored over 200 points. So I think the offense starts to find its stride a little bit more week after week. And so I wouldn't be panicked if your guys didn't perform. I think it's just kind of the nature of the beast, and full practices, full weeks to prepare for other teams. I think you'll start to see more scheming and
preparing
points
for that team for an entire summer. Like,
well,
there's a lot of unpredictability that could happen when you're going. It's like, okay, we got to win this one. Don't have Zach
definitely.
Taylor. He's the worst at it. He almost blew another one. Oh man, I was rooting so hard for the Browns to beat the Bengals. Just to show Zach Taylor that he is a donkey of a preparer. Or maybe they just don't prepare well as a team.
I just thought the Browns would be a little bit more surprising this year anyway, right? Like I think they have a pretty solid defense as long as Flacco's in there. Like he's a savvy enough old vet to like throw some balls where he needs to and get him in the right sets, and I just think they're going to be competitive at in a lot of games. I think their defense has the potential to be pretty nasty too. I mean, it's surprising that the Bengals had as low of an output as they did, but they won, which is something they haven't done in the last 4 years on opening day. So I guess you just walk away and be happy that you got a win and don't really care about it and just move on to the second week. But
I would be very concerned about the Browns offense.
Yeah.
Like, if you think they looked at all good, that's the best they're ever going to look.
Yeah.
There's no defense worse in the NFL than the Cincinnati Bengals. Logan Wilson got hurt. I think Knight, we'll get to him.
Yeah, but Ben, a lot of the offenses didn't look good. I think that's back to the original.
No, I'm talking about defenses. I mean, that defense should score. If you can't score 30 on that defense, you're not a real team. That's my quote of the 2025 year. if you can't score, we're going to play them. We might not score 30, so we might not be a real team. We might still beat them without it. But my point is, like, their offense didn't look good enough, but I think to your point, Cleveland could get a lot of pressure. They got a lot of pressure up the middle, too. Myles Garrett did Myles Garrett things.
He almost killed Joe Burrow. I mean, he almost killed him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and, we'll see, man. But, Jesus. The Bengals defense is a laughingstock. The Bengals defense and the Texans offensive line are my two. I need to go find if there was worse last year by any team. I think they're that bad.
Yeah, I don't know. All I will say is it's just too early to really have any information. It's any given Sunday. Weird things happen every week. The Chiefs, I think, were 2-3 last year or something. Like, they had a pretty slow start. I mean, it's just too hard to say who's gonna make the corrections that they need to get
Nobody
things
wins
rolling
Super
in the right
Bowl week
direction.
one.
No. I mean, I think it's. I would say that you're pretty confident in what the Ravens are doing. That's a complete team. You're pretty confident what the Bills are doing. That's a complete team. It seems like the Packers are pretty legit. Outside of that, who else do you have as legit NFL teams right now?
How do you watch like a game like Baltimore and Buffalo, and then sit there and be like, yeah, my team's close to that.
Yeah.
We're so far away from that, Corey. Like that. Like Derrick Henry was putting on a clinic, and then it's like, yeah, he fumbled, but Jesus, dude, like.
Well, Zay Flowers was popping off. I mean, it seemed like the Bills kind of struggled early, but once he got going and just started ripping it.
Impose wills, and then their defenses make plays. It's like it's just a big chess match. It's not like, both defenses looked like ass, and that's why there was that much score, dude. No, it's like creativity and just like willing your team. Both quarterbacks willing.
Well, it's continuity
like,
too of the teams a little bit, right? Yeah. Like it's the same player, and I mean, not the Bills' receiving core necessarily. Keon Coleman looked pretty damn good.
Great, yeah.
I mean, who would you
Palmer
not
didn't
take?
Look bad either.
Who would you not take out of the rookie wide receivers? Who would you rather have? Than Keon Coleman after week one. I mean, would you take Luther Burden or Keon Coleman in Dynasty?
It's Mbuka.
Mbuka for sure. Hunter
Mbuka's
probably.
101 at this point.
I'd still take Genty 101.
Well, this is where we're overreaction theater.
Yeah. I would still take Mbuka probably top 5, but I'd have.
Hey man, Travis Hunter didn't have that good of a game, but he played a lot of wide receiver and he played a good share of defense.
I think he only had like 6 snaps on defense, didn't he?
No, yeah, I think he had a few more than that. But it'll be interesting if they ramp him up.
I also wanted to give little props to Talladega Charlie and the fucking, I can't even think of the name. The last great dynasty. Both had great week 1 performances, scoring over 230 points. I think we were both pretty high on their teams.
I moved them up in those power rankings, man. Like I liked where they looked going into the season, and they.
Well, I guess we had to talk a little bit about Indianapolis, the Colts. I mean, that's a pretty strong nobody believes in us performance by them and Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I was playing Danny Dimes in BC, and it didn't continue to go downhill for me, and I did end up winning. But I was like, Jesus. Got Danny going to drop a 50 piece on me. This is getting ridiculous. But, yeah, Colts are interesting. I would not overreact to the Colts, and I would not overreact. You know what, actually? Man, I wonder if Miami's defense is worse, actually.
I think
they're not worse than Cincinnati, but they're pretty bad, man. They're pretty bad.
They might be in the JV league with the Saints actually were somewhat competitive, but I would still think that that's not going to continue.
The Saints got pressure and sacks, man. Like, they could have won that game. That game was way closer than any Cardinals fan would have wanted or any Saints fan expected. I don't know, man. Like,
I will say that I was very fortunate to beat the almighty Warren in week 1 after the offensive performances I had from my guys.
Game of the week delivered.
Well, it was. It came down to pretty much the last drive of Caleb throwing that touchdown to give me security. I was thinking, well, shit, we might get the ball back and I'll throw an interception and I'll lose, which would have probably been one of the larger kick in my nuts. I needed Caleb.
Like you needed anything more at that point.
Well, I needed him in 5 leagues too, so I have him in every league that I play in, and I was just like, well, I guess if you have faith, you got to have faith, and just hope for the best. So, like I said,
I think I needed like 30
excited.
points from like 6 Vikings players, and at halftime, it didn't look like I was going to get there.
I think
it was looking bad, including the quarterback and Justin Jefferson. I'm like, woof, I'm going to lose this matchup.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a consolation prize. I'd rather have the Bears win and lose to Warren, but I guess at the end of the day, I'm 1-0, and I was glad to play him in week 1 and not further down the line because I think it'll get worse once those running backs get going a little bit. So, sorry, Warren.
Put up 200 on a nice off day.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, I have to say though, I had probably a combined, 15 points from my wide receivers, and Gibbs had 10 catches and only 11. I think he had 12 points overall. So I'm not. My offense was about as shitty as it'll be, I think, for the whole season. But maybe some bye weeks. But I mean, my defense showed up. That's why you have to start 22.
I have a real problem in these leagues in general because, when I'm at Sharkies, I run the screens. And a lot of the times, depending on how these games layer, I am managing the ends and moving of screens in the games when inactives are coming out of the afternoon games. And so I had that with McLaughlin. Got ruled out, and I didn't. I think there's some, who else was it? Rodriguez got ruled out randomly, but like there was some interesting healthy scratches. But that one got me, and I was like, oh man, when you don't catch those inactives in time, that's a real kick in the balls, taking a 0 when you could get another guy in the slot. So I had that over a couple leagues. I had that happen to me, and it's like, man, I got to figure out a better system I get my rhythm, and usually I can just make sure I can check it in time just in case. But
yeah, I was Sunday morning dealing with Saturday night's issue of mice in our $500 a night hotel room, and my wife freaking the fuck out, and so she had to move to a different room. She had to go sleep with mom in her room, and so I was waking up trying to deal with that off a kind of a night of having to chase little mice around, which was great. And I didn't have any reception. I'm trying to look at stuff, and then the kids are whining, wanting some sort of Starbucks or breakfast. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But it'll be the least amount of time that I have all season to prepare. I miss some. I left some people that were out before the game in other leagues, and it didn't cost me too bad, but it's unexcusable. It's inexcusable.
Well, I mean, I guess, for the most part, there was some weird healthy scratches and stuff like that. That's kind of like a BC thing, but I don't know. Now people are hurt, so we'll get a lot more game time stuff when it comes to injuries and stuff like that.
Got to give a little shout out to John Candy, JC, first 200-point loser. Which is tough.
Nothing worse than losing with 200 points. I mean,
one of 8 guys to score it.
It's what you want. It's the benchmark.
Yeah, and then other than that, it's I think my brother's team, Bishop Down, had a pretty decent showing. Beat Vito, who we had Justin ranked probably in the bottom third, around the 20-23 range. Had a nice showing, and he only had Chase score like 3 points or something like that. So I mean, that his offense his wide receiver core is pretty damn good, and he actually got some production from his running backs until Miles Sanders fumbled. But that's a pretty good showing from Bishop Downs. Beefy Brutes we had in the bottom half, scores 195 points out the gate. Nice showing by Brad with his dub. What else did we have in here? Penn State was Penn State. Mandy was Mandy. But again, just relatively.
The top dogs took care of business.
Oh, Baltimore BDs. Thanks for clarifying that name. Believe that. Big time showing, almost 280 points. So he looks to be solid. They look to be solid. And right now, 40 point more scored than anybody else in the league in week 1. So laid the pipe on freshly squeezed. All right, let's take a little bit of a pause here and talk about something that's on our minds before we get into Keep It Snappy. I want to get you a little bit fired up, Ben. So why don't we discuss these waiver wire issues? I'm slightly confused as to all the confusion. Why don't you give me your thoughts on what's going on and how it can get rectified?
Man. Okay, so there's 2 things that happened. I think one is something that supposedly has always been there. I don't know if it has. I don't really care at this point, but it was the ability to pick up a player after they played, right? So if a guy scored 30 points in the Thursday night game, you could pick that player up on the waiver, the first waiver run for.
So it's
Saturday.
a BB waiver on that.
Well, they lock the players so you don't pick them up during games.
Right.
Why would you do that? Well, you don't want somebody to pick it up during the game because you want to go to like the waiver period that everyone's paying attention. So all leagues, that's like one waiver period.
Right.
But now it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe, I saw comments, well, you probably just noticed it because there were 2 Thursday games. Like,
no.
I'm pretty detail-oriented to these leagues, and I don't remember being able to see a guy score 30 points on a Thursday game and pick him up on a Saturday morning when everyone's sleeping and just being like, woohoo, got him. So, like, okay, so let's just get past it.
Just for full clarity, so you're telling me that after Thursday night someone's performed, you can look at it, you can put in a BB where you have to outbeat anybody on the bid.
$18 on that guy, and you'll win him Saturday morning.
Okay, and then he can't obviously. Then he just comes onto your team the next week. All right.
Well, he's on your team now. You just can't start him.
You can't play him until the next week. I understand that. So I don't ever remember that being in our leagues, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't. I don't remember ever doing that because, I mean, obviously you can do that in Yahoo. You can drop a guy right after he plays and pick up someone else, and but like this isn't Yahoo. I just don't ever remember doing that, and I can't believe that I wouldn't have wanted to do that or tried to do that in a 16-team league at least. BC is a little different because it's just like it's slim pickings. But yeah,
I'm an edge guy, Corey. I like edges. I like to get edges against competition.
Yep.
To not know that edge for 15 years in these leagues, I'm either a total fucking moron or it just didn't happen before. It's a new setting. I'm not saying Dan did it because it was in the other league. It could be an MFL adjustment.
Right.
Something maybe they're working on it. I don't know. I just never have seen.
But there's ways to go back and check to see if there's waiver runs on Saturday mornings. So
Yes, I can go do that, and I probably will. But, why? I mean, I can go do it, but the thing is, this is an MFL problem because I can see it's clearly in, 2 commish leagues that had settings. They didn't change anything, so is it?
Right.
Are they changing? Did they screw up? Did they make it just this week because of some stipulation? Like, I don't know.
So on that specific instance, we need to do two things. One, we have to look back last year to see if those waiver runs ever existed, or if there was only the one on the normal one after all the Sunday games, right?
But it doesn't matter. Like, it's just the way it is now.
I'm sorry. Right.
But it's just the way it is now.
No,
just everyone needs to know it.
But that's the second point. If it existed, it existed. If it didn't, who knew that existed and who did not, right? And if it was an MFL change and nobody was aware of it, then how did so many people take advantage of it? That's what I don't understand.
I look, man.
That leads into the second point.
There were very few. I think I lost you, Corey.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. There were very few waiver claims put in, Corey. That wasn't really what happened. Like, some people might have done it just ahead of time because some people get ahead of it. Maybe
right,
some
that makes
people
sense.
Thought there was a waiver period to that. But most people, what happened is, like, there's a couple random waiver claims that go through on a Saturday morning, and they're like, oh, wait. And then everyone started realizing you could pick up guys who already played, and everyone just picked them up first come, first serve. So where I was discovering it mostly wasn't the waiver period. It was everyone just randomly picking up everyone who already played that I thought I had to wait until Wednesday to bet on.
Right.
Right? And it's like, oh, cool. That's 4 teams worth of guys, lots and lots of waiver guys. And so, all right, I'm sleeping at the wheel.
That would be my question, too.
That would be my question. Week.
Yeah. My question would be this. If it's an MFL setting, does the MFL setting then automatically generate the calendar, or the calendar is manually entered? So if it was a setting that says there's a waiver run, why wouldn't there be some sort of notification saying on Saturday morning there's a waiver wire
This is what I'm saying. Like, if they didn't change anything, and I believe Dan didn't change anything, and I also believe, over in those other leagues that he didn't change anything.
So why would we have a waiver run that's not on the calendar? That's why I don't understand. If there's the one that is for Wednesdays that says 6 p.m. or 6 a.m., which we also have to discuss, why isn't there one that says it on the calendar for Saturdays?
So the one for Saturdays is because they have to open up to first come, first serve, and you can't do it without a waiver period. Now, so like if that's the case, waiver periods are generally players who haven't played. That's where, like, this is where I'm completely lost. And I think a couple people have been like, I don't remember you ever been able to pick up guys who played. That would in theory mean, Corey, in the history that the entire time we've played this leagues, no Thursday night guy who ever went off was available on the following Wednesday, because somebody would have been scooping all this up.
Right.
And nobody in any league on any side is definitively saying, I remember last year you could do this. It's just like, well, nobody changed it. And it's the same in both of these leagues. Is this an MFL fuck up? Maybe. I don't know. But all I know is if it's inconsistent from what was previously, somebody got an edge. And all I want to do on this podcast is just say simply, if you are in any of these MFL leagues, if anyone goes off on Thursday night games, and this was a Thursday and Friday game, but like on a Thursday night game, go check, do waivers twice a week now, because you don't want to miss a guy and give him up for free. And more importantly, I don't know, set your alarm for 6 a.m. Eastern, and at 6:01, go get first come, first serve of all the guys that played on Thursday. And that's just new protocol. I mean, new to me, maybe people have been playing that.
It kind of is what it is at this point, but I would still like to understand how it happened and whether or not we're right as far as the history of it, so we can go back and check that.
I'd rather email MFL and be like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
But the problem is the accountability of everyone kind of is just like, well, yeah, it's this and this, and and some people are saying it, but nobody really remembers.
Okay, so point one is checking to see if it happened or not. Point two is if it's going to continue to happen, there needs to be something on the calendar that says that there's waiver runs on Saturday morning as well, and what the time frame is. Because that has to happen.
Actually,
that has to happen because there's one for the other waiver. time frame. There's not one for this one. So that's confusion. If we're going to use the calendar as the Bible for everything, and we're going to run a tight ship, that has to be in the calendar. And if it's an MFL thing, I'm asking the question to Dan, is it a manual input, or once you have those waiver runs, does that generate into the calendar itself? Those are my two questions. That leads me to the second point. The waiver runs on Wednesday were at 6 p.m. last week. Why did it move to 6 a.m. this week? Is that a shift from MFL 2? Why would that happen?
No, because it didn't happen in the other leagues.
Okay.
It didn't happen.
So then again, is that a shift, or is the calendar incorrect, or why? So now Dan can say, well, it's in the calendar, which people have said it's been in the calendar all week at 6 a.m. So if the calendar is the Bible, then we had enough time to notice it. I just want to understand why the shift was why that's been inconsistent from week to week.
I do not believe that said 6 a.m. Before last week.
I don't know. I didn't check because I don't have any money.
No. I just I've looked at this calendar many times. Now, a PM to a AM is it pretty meticulous detail when it all looks the same looking at it. Like I'm looking at it now, and it's easy to not see it. But
I just want consistency of how we're doing things. And we've continuously said the calendar is the Bible, which I'm fine with. But then the calendar has to be accurate. And when it's not, I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. And so we can't go back and forth when we're choosing the calendar to be accurate.
The fact of the matter, Corey, for 15 years, it's been on a Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. No, I'll fight anyone on that. And I was even talking to Jason. Jason and I have played in Golf League 10 years ago on a Wednesday and are sitting there in the middle of a match, checking what the waiver results were at 4 p.m. It was always a pain in the ass. We always talked about it because it was always in these matches. And we always had these scramble matches. I'm just telling you, this was never, ever, ever, ever a thing.
I know what I believe I know what the answer is too, because I always take Wednesday to when I have time in the middle of my day, to over my lunch or whatever I'm doing, to go through all my teams, and I know that I have until the evening to get it done. So that's the only one I've ever done too. So I don't remember ever doing them twice. I think we just need to clarify that, and we need a response to it because it does matter, and there are small edges in these leagues that do impact, and especially those people that are doing the grind work. And I think we just have to have a consistent playing field.
I believe it was an accident. I believe that there was something changed on accident, maybe when I don't know when. I can't honestly tell you because I don't operate these in the back end.
Right.
I know the other leagues didn't have this accident, so it's not a across the platform thing.
Right.
If there was a conscious decision to change this without notifying owners, I would have a real big problem with that. Because, again, why are we that is an edge. It was an edge I missed wholeheartedly. Not only, again, not even just did I not get my waivers in. Maybe I don't have a ton of money. Can I just see who's available? Do I need to get up at 4 a.m. Costa Rica time all of a sudden now and not 4:01 p.m.? And look at who's available to do first come, first serve ads? Because that's when that opens up. So, if you don't know that, and all of a sudden it's 10 o'clock and you're looking and you have 17 emails from people who have picked up players on first come, first serve, plus waivers of people who probably just entered early, because there were not that many people, not like normal, on a waiver like this. There would be normal a lot more people, and then Jason admitted it to me. Did you put in waivers, Corey?
I did not.
Okay. And a couple people other mentioned it. So, I'm just saying, somebody got an edge on other people, and this is twice in a week. The other one I think is way less of an issue because it can just do what it's doing going on, and everyone can adjust. Because it doesn't sound like anyone changed anything, and that's I don't know, unless MFL says we fucked up and they can change it back. But this specific one has to be able to be changed. And I did not vote for waivers to go from 6 p.m. Eastern to 6 a.m. Eastern on a Wednesday. And if Dan made that decision, and there's no message post, unless it was done on last year's site. I didn't look at that. There's no message post on this. So was it an accident? If it was an accident, let's fucking change it so it's not like this next week. Okay, we'll chalk it up as an accident, fine. But I don't want to go to this path, which the rhetoric is, which is like, well, the calendar fucking says so, so it's like, no, it doesn't, dude. That's not the fucking way it works. If I can change the calendar tomorrow, and I know that there's fucking waivers and other people don't, I'm not saying Dan did that, but I'm just saying, like, if there's a regularity and we can't have conversations about consistency, what the fuck are we doing? And the fact that I brought it up and, like, basically it's all crickets in all the leagues, it's like, I don't know, does nobody care about these leagues anymore? They don't care about these things? Like, okay. Like, that's why I'm like, we probably already talked about it too much. Like, does anyone give a shit?
We need answers, and it needs to be prompt. That's all that we ask of Dan to do, and I'm sure there's a justification
6 a.m. forever, fine. But why? Who made the decision? Why was it made? When was it made?
Or if it was
Does everyone agree that's when we want it? Like, I don't know. It's like, okay, let's change something we've done for 15 years. Like,
well,
why?
quite personally, I think there needs to be time. Like, you have to have time to make trades after the Monday night game. Then maybe you want to free up some cap. There's injuries involved. It's like the more time, the better. Like that 12 hours is like basically a full work day for people to spend a little time before they have to make decisions for the games to kick off on Thursday.
If you want to make it Tuesday, I don't care. But like, when it's happening and the decision of why would be something we would put up to vote normally. Wouldn't be just something made for us and then never mentioned. Yeah. So that's why I believe it's a mistake, and I think it needs to be rectified and switched back to 6 p.m. I don't care about the Saturday waivers. If it's 6 a.m., I'll just get up at 4 a.m. on Saturday and go pick up some Thursday guys, and that's the way it works now. That's the way it works.
All right, so let me be very clear. Step one, can we get an answer about why there was a Saturday waiver claim, and if that's an MFL thing?
There's always been one, but never for guys who
I'm trying to summarize this for Dan to be able to answer the question.
Summarize it correctly then, dude.
I just did. This is the questions that I have. I want to know point by point. That's how my brain works. So I'm asking, if there was always one, okay, is it an MFL thing that adds to the calendar or not? Because if it does, then it should be in the calendar, because that's a
it's in the calendar. It says the way it's in the calendar, man. It says that go look at the calendar, bro. It says waivers processed, which it's always done, and it says first come first serve open. That's always done that. The question is, can you, like, because you have to be able to get players for injuries. So that's when it opens up the first come first serve until it locks out in Sunday. So that's always been a thing. But I don't believe it's ever been a thing where you could take a guy who's already played.
Okay. So now we're clarifying.
That's the only question I have.
I see it in the calendar, so that's great. So now it's, can the guys be taken that have already played, or do they have to be pushed through waivers all the way till Wednesday? That's the only question that we need answered on that specific point. The other question is, when was the decision made and by who to move it from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.? That's it. Those are the two questions. And is it going to be 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. moving forward? Correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let's jump in.
And if it's 6 a.m., who decided that? Like, and why?
Right. 100%. Okay.
And why was a decision like that made without notifying the league?
Correct. Awesome. Let's move to keep it snappy, because now I got your full energy shining through on camera, just the way I like to see it.
That's why I didn't want to talk about this.
This is your favorite segment. You're a world-renowned...
No, it's not.
Well, you're very good at it, and you put a lot of time into this, and I think it's very important information for those of us that don't really understand the defensive side of the ball as good as you. So I'm trying to give you props here, buddy.
Don't oversell me.
But could you please keep it snappy?
I can keep it snappy. All right, well, where to start? So this week was, I'm going to make a couple key points on what I noticed that was irregular. Defensive tackle scoring was incredibly high. this week, and a lot of the big DNs didn't come through. Some did, but for the most part, it was a little washy. And same with linebacker play. Not a lot of really big tackle numbers, not a lot of really big scores. And I don't know. I'm really interested on seeing how that goes moving forward. It feels like there's just way more pass rushing D tackles. I'm kind of considering maybe starting 2 once in a while. Not on the BC roster because they're trash, but I mean, if they're good, you probably should. I mean, there's it's really an interesting. I don't know. It's really interesting to see. So there's a few things that really surprised. Okay, so I think in general there's a lot of people. There's a lot of uncertainty at certain positions. Let's just start with the linebacker position. I don't think I'm going to go through very much on D tackles and D ends. There's enough mixed up, and there's not enough surprises that I think I'm really worried there. I think with the with the linebackers and the safeties is where we're going to see these like very interesting things that like probably didn't think was going to happen. And I think like Jack Sanborn, I thought was going to have the green dot, and I thought he was going to be a 3-down linebacker. He was not. Jack Sanborn was quite disappointing in a production sense, but also I think he was around 75% in snaps. But I think he was kind of ineffective, I noticed as well. And they were running a lot of safety and heavy like dime packages against the Eagles. So I'm curious to see if that's an Eagles thing because of the way their scheme works. But I'm a little nervous about our boy Jack Sanborn. I would be cautious with him specifically. And then the other one was the snap shares for the Indianapolis Colts was a total shit show. It was just like 20-30% here. Zaire Franklin only played 81%, but he was like in the he got rested. But he's the only guy playing a full-time role. They're kind of doing something very similar. They're running a lot of heavy safety and corner packages. So I don't think there's a guy that is of interest right now in Indianapolis, and that might change, but I don't know. We'll have to see. The Tennessee Titans was another one I was keeping an eye on. Cedric Gray randomly got most of that run. He was like at 79%. But they just signed Kaiser White. Like, I don't know what's going on there. I think that's a pretty tough and kind of a void situation. Jahad Campbell for the Eagles surprisingly got up to 92%. I thought he was going to probably split some work with Trotter. He looked very good. I would start him with confidence.
Especially in pass defense. I thought he looked great in passing downs.
He didn't need to get taken off the field. He was very effective. I think the other rookie, Schwessiner, was also incredible. He looked great out there. He 100% snaps. He had the green dot. He's good to go. Like, he's going to be a beast. Those two rookies, I would really play with confidence. Even Tyrese Knight was at 75%, but he looked very good. Logan Wilson's
the highest,
kind of banged
up. Highest point production, Demetrius Knight, 14.5 points out of all the rookies.
Yep, yeah, he looked really good. I think for the Savasier Dennis was another guy I was really hopeful that they would let play of a big snap share. He got 95%. It looks like he's going to be a 3-down linebacker. We know Tampa usually likes to run the two guys in unison, and he had a good output, so I think he'll be good. D. Winters also strangleholded that job with 100% snaps, so D. Winters is going to be a guy you really want moving forward.
How about your boy Nate Landman? 17 points.
Nate Landman was not very good, but he played 100% snaps, or 98, or he was at 98. He has the green dot, and he's playing for now, so you're going to want to play him. He just doesn't look good. Like, he didn't look good in Atlanta. He doesn't look good there. I don't think you're going to get a lot of explosive plays, but anyone who plays that much, you're going to have to really go ahead and fire him up, right? Drew Tranquil looked really good. He got a little hurt, so he only got to 83% snaps. If he plays, though, they're using him in like a Frankie Louvu-like role, so that was like really interesting. He blitzed a lot and looked pretty good. I think the big surprise, too, is Houston. EJ Speed, nada. Like 3%, and I think Harris 10%, and then 202. What is it? 222. I don't. I think it's 202.
Yeah,
Henry.
Oh,
Henry. He's the 3-down guy, and he actually looked really good and complimented Azeez Al-Shir really well, who got the 100% there, and. Dre Greenlaw was like he's coming back from injury, so he didn't
play. He was out, yeah.
Yeah, like Stranad's in there, but I don't know. It's kind of wait and see. Blake Cashman got hurt. I think Eric Wilson is going to replace him.
He looked good on special teams.
Yeah, but he also looked good on defense, and he came in, he wore the green dot, so I think they want to keep Ivan Pace in that hybrid pass rush role, so be on the lookout for Eric Wilson. If he gets 100%, he could actually be a productive fill-in if he's out on your waiver somewhere. Who else? I was pretty interesting. I get your thoughts, Corey, on what you thought about the TJ Edwards replacement. Sewell. I thought he was good. Yeah, I thought he was pretty good. I mean, wasn't sure if they're going to try and go with the rookie. But it seems like they gave the share to Sewell, so we'll see what's up with TJ. I don't know if he's supposed to play next week, if it was kind of a fringe thing, but it sounded like it was a hammy, so if that lingers, he could be a super interesting guy moving forward. And it's like for the most part, that's like the linebacker stuff that like I noticed that really jumped out. I think there was like the Devin White, Jermaine Pratt are fine. They played their they're old and kind of gross, but they played well, and they're gonna get their shares. And Divine Diablo also put a stranglehold on that job. I think there was some questions on whether or not he would get it. He was at 98%. So yeah, man, keep it snappy. It really there was some surprise stuff that came in there. In these spots, and some of them are kind of still evolving, but. There you have it there for the linebackers, Corey. And then for the safeties, I think.
What about defensive ends? Did you want to talk about that?
I didn't really want to go over defensive ends specifically because I looked at it all, and I didn't think there was a lot that jumped out.
Okay.
For the most part, I think maybe Chop Robinson's was a little dicey. He's third guy in line and didn't quite get that much of a role. I think he'll still be good, but we'll see. We'll see how that moves on. I mean, that team's a dumpster fire, so maybe eventually they'll move on from some of the guys there.
Let's talk about safeties. I could certainly use one of those. Are there any guys that are on the waiver wire still that I could pick up? I'm just kidding.
Kansas City was a really interesting one because Jaden Hicks, I thought was going to be the starter that got 100%, but he didn't. And he's listed as a safety in MFL, but Shamari Connor got 100%, and he looked really good, and he was in that slot spot. So he was in the box the whole time. So Shamari Connor, he's out there. He's a grab, man. I think you can rely on him. But they also, Jalen Watson, look good as well with McDuffie. So I think they're going to probably roll with that run, those three guys with Connor in the slot. But he is a safety in MFL, so I thought that was pretty interesting. The New England was wild. I mean, they did go 100% snaps with Jalen Hawkins and and Craig Woodson, Kyle Duggar, 11%. I mean, he's RIP. But Craig Woodson played almost exclusively in the box. So he wasn't just a strong safety. He was really up there. So I didn't get a lot of Craig Wilson shares. Congratulations if you did. I think the way they used him was like really interesting, and I think he's going to be a top guy. New guy on the block for as far as safeties go. The Minnesota one was a little weird because, we didn't have Harrison Smith, but we played Theo Jackson 100%, which I would have told you I expected to happen with Harrison Smith. So we'll see if it still does, because, it was basically Theo and Josh Metellus, and then Byron Murphy and Isaiah Rogers all got 100%, like a sprinkle in of Okuda and Jay Ward, who's also a safety, I believe. So that's an interesting one to keep an eye on for next week if Harrison Smith comes back. If they're going to run the 3 safety set they did when Bynum was here, or if they're going to try and I don't know. It looked like they were running a lot of D-end heavy, and they were even putting like Turner and Van Ginkel in pass coverage a lot. So maybe they're going to go heavy on the D-line and a little shorter on the back end. I mean, now that Blake Cashman's going to be out for a while, we'll see. That's going to be a tricky one to watch. And then with Atlanta was a super interesting one, right? Because Bowman. Xavier Watts was supposed to start, and I thought he was just going to play more of a free safety role, and he played a lot in the box. So looks like Xavier Watts is going to be really good. He played a lot in the slot, a lot in the box. Billy Bowman got 81%, so he is playing some slot too, and they're kind of doing some 3 safety sets. We'll see where that goes. I don't think Billy Bowman scored a lot, but those 2 rookies actually ended up being the guys, which was, quite interesting. I think there was like a lot to be excited about with the safeties in Seattle, with Nick and Maury, but he got hurt right away. And I think they had some plans to use him a certain way, and I think that really screwed up their plans. So they just went 2 safeties. Josh Jobe, who I think is a cornerback in our league, but he's like a hybrid guy. He kind of jumped in after Amari was basically got knocked out. And then I forgot to say this on the linebackers. Tyrese Knight was getting taken off on 3rd downs for Drake Thomas, who guy who I have in BC, but like I thought that was not a good sign for him, because it kind of last year I would have thought he would have got a 100% role, but it looks like they're not trusting him all the way with that one. And the Steelers was a total shit show. Like it was like I don't no safety played 100%. We got Thornton Hill at 81, Chuck Clark at 50, and Elliott at 41. It's just a massive avoid.
They signed Peppers.
Joey Porter was 69%, so he wasn't even so it's like Ramsey and Slay were the only 100% guys in that secondary. I don't know, man. Just I don't. I guess we'll see, right? If maybe it really was that bad based off of how many points the Jets scored. Maybe Peppers will get in there and play right away. It's not that he's not talented. I don't think. I think they were just changing the guard over there. Let's see what else I have. I think that's most of the notes that I had down. Oh, there was the Dolphins as well. Minika Fitzpatrick got his 100 was expected, but like nobody else really stepped up and got a bulk share. I kind of thought Melina Fanu would, and he only played 68%. So I think there's like a lot more uncertainty in this position and in linebackers as far as like who's going to like get to these roles. And I think that's why we saw scoring down so far in this position, because we didn't see a lot of consistency in like these 100 snap guys. And I think in general it's just a down for both positions. So that is the report for the old keep it snappy there, Mr. Corey.
I liked it, Ben. That helped me out a lot. I got some work to do at some positions. Maybe make some trades based off of some stock market values right now. I'm hoping some of these old vets get signed, like my boy Von Bell or whatever his
Oh, I
name
had
is.
one more. I had one more. It's not a safety, but it's a cornerback. Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis played almost all of his snaps in the slot or in the box. So Jordan Lewis it looks like, could be a real tackle machine and a playmaker. So keep an eye on that one. I think old Jordan Lewis for the Jacksonville from the Cowboys. We know he can make plays, and I think they're trying to put him in a spot where he can do that. So he's kind of like, he's a cornerback, but I think they're treating him very safety-ish, like strong safety-ish.
All right, that is your Keep It Snappy segment by Mr. Ziegler.
Was it snappy enough? Did I make it under 15 minutes? I felt like it was a little longer than I wanted.
That was great. It was great. You have a long leash, Ben. We are going to move into the last segment and highlight 3 games of teams that we're interested to see the outcomes of this week, week 2. Very important week for a lot of fantasy owners. I'll just do one, and then I'll let you pick one after that, Ben. And then hopefully we'll arrive on the game of the week collectively. I really am interested to see, which if it had my vote would be the game of the week, and that's KC Mean Machine against the Last Great American Dynasty. Both are 1-0. No, KC Mean Machine I think lost last week, but no, he was a 200-point scorer. So was Last Great American Dynasty. Both 1-0. Right now, it looks like, and I don't know if KC's submitted his full lineup, but the Dynasty's favored by 36.8 points. That's a very interesting one. 2 top performing teams from week 1. What is one that you got your eye
on? Real quick, Corey, because I was bringing it up. I saw the commissioner addressed our
great,
our waiver issue. So there's at least a message board post.
Is it a satisfactory response?
Well, he is saying that he didn't expect it to be at 6 a.m. and that he was just getting ahead on his claims, and that's why he had claims, but he was going to come back and revise them. That's kind of what I figured probably happened with everyone. Maybe a couple people that are new really looked at the calendar, but anyone who's been in these leagues a long time, I think, would have just either their process, because they work on Wednesday, is to do it Tuesday night, or they just found out the way we did. But we don't need to go into it, but it is at least a great starting point, and it just definitely shows his position on it. And it seems like he's a little nervous on trying to mess with such settings. So we'll just have to. Maybe we'll just figure.
I guess you just look at the calendar. It would just be nice to have it consistent, and as it always has been at 6 p.m. on Wednesday moving forward. I think personally, but
I agree with that. So meanwhile, back at the ranch, let's get to the frisky matchups. Who did you have, Corey?
I'll give another one real quick while you're looking. I like the Missouri Milkman and Isn't That John Candy. Both of those boys scored 200 points in week 1 as well, and John Candy got a tough loss. But Milkman we were pretty high on, not so much for Joel. So if Joel can battle back and score those same type of points and get back to 1-1, I think that's an interesting one.
Yeah,
currently favored by 9.3 points, which obviously there's a lot of skew on some of these projections. If you looked at some of the quarterback projections in week 1, you would have thought that we had 15 Josh Allens in the league. I saw guys that I didn't think had a chance of scoring 20 in the 40-45 range, which was kind of crazy.
I think the funny thing is that the Colts were like projected to score like 42. And I was like, that's the craziest thing ever. And then they almost did.
Yeah. There's some. I hope you're not trusting the projections by the MFL statisticians and line setters, because it's not extremely accurate, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What was your first one, Corey? I think I was like
The
cutting
first
out.
one
I
was
didn't hear
KC
your
Mean
first one.
Machine in the last Great American Dynasty. Two 1-0 teams both scored over 200 points. I think that's the game of the week in my eyes. Two, I think what we had top 12 teams in our preseason rankings.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty high on my list. And then
Yeah, I
Milkman
like.
and Candy.
Yeah, Milkman and Candy. I think Baltimore and Daly City French Bulldogs is interesting. I think Baltimore is a real powerhouse, but I do think that Daly's team's like got a lot of bounce back players, so it'll be interesting to see. He squeaked out a win last week, but this would be like this potentially could be a 200-200 matchup.
Yeah.
Just kind of going through their rosters, so we'll see on that one.
I like also the other nominee would be the Lazy Bears and the Old Mandalorian. Both again, Lazy Bears was at 196 points last week. I think we were both pretty high on his team, and Mandy was obviously a top three preseason rankings team. So both 1-0. That could easily be the game of the week, or one that decides some playoff positioning too.
Yeah, I was absolutely looking at that one. I have both those guys, in the top 5 of the power rankings, so I think that's as frisky as it gets for sure across these boards. And then, shout out to little Jason. He probably got one of the lowest scoring wins at the Mighty Orphans. So he's got to take on Penn, and then Penn's kind of he's had some injury luck not go so great.
Yeah.
But he's got a deep team. One thing I forgot to mention and keep it snappy, and I hope this doesn't hurt your chances here, Jason, but Devin Lloyd is legit RIP. That was one of the guys I forgot to talk about. Was Devin Lloyd like playing no snaps was something I think you called, Corey. That was another one of those very strange. It's like a Luke and Foyesade, 100%. He's out there beast, and then it was like a little bit of ventral, and then like maybe a couple sprinkles of some guys. But what a shocker, Devin Lloyd. He's just gonna need another team. Who knows? Maybe they'll trade him, move on off of him. But like the way his usage is, like, not gonna happen. So that's a pretty tough blow for Penn for sure.
Well, he's got Jack Kaiser, so it's interesting to see that he didn't get any snaps because of that, because I thought that Jack Kaiser was kind of that fill-in role. But
yeah, I think they like Ventral a lot. Because same thing, I was kind of looking at a lot of these guys. I thought Jack Kaiser could get over Ventral. I thought Medrano could get over McGahee. Neither of them really did this year, so some of these rookies are just going to have to wait in their line. Same with Noah Swell, right? That was another one you could see if Hippo could get over. And it's just like, hey man, rookies, it's hard enough for these coaches to play elite middle linebackers on their rookie year, right? Sans Jack Campbell and like a lot of these guys that just don't get in right away. There's just a really hard position to play these days. Especially, it used to be you just get downhill, you thump, you stop the run, go block, go cover a tight end. But the schemes are so complex now, the way they are moving these linebackers around, how rangy they have to get. So I think it's like when you get a rookie linebacker who actually plays, I think that's really it's really kind of an outlier, and especially pretty impressive this year that we have those top 3. That look like they're kind of going to be three down guys, moving forward. But a lot of the other ones after that didn't really work out, It's not that they're done. It just means their time will come eventually.
Well, buddy, that officially wraps up our segments for this week. I think that's kind of the consistency we want. We'll probably change up the segments week to week and try to get a little bit more creative. But yeah, we're just right around that hour and 40-minute mark. So good luck to everyone next week. Thanks to Dan for clarifying and hopefully getting that resolved and on the waiver wires. And like I said earlier, man, it's only
The
week
ball's
one.
rolling. We're in discussion. It's really nice. And yes, thank you, Dan, for clarifying it. I just certainly didn't think that Dan knew about it either, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think he knew that it changed the 4 p.m. to 6 a.m., even though he had the claims in. But he did clarify that, which is just, it's a nice thing.
Mistakes can happen in these leagues. I just want to make sure that if the calendars are viable, that we're using it, and that's what we're doing, making all of our tough decisions.
And it's okay.
Based
It's
on.
just 1 week. We'll adjust it back if we can. If Dan feels like he's going to break the system and we can't, we'll just accept that and move on. But he's on it, so that's
Sounds good. Best of luck to everybody. I believe the Packers will beat the Redskins tomorrow, and we will have some good games to look forward to in week 2. Go Bears.
Yippee,
Peace
yippee.
in the Middle East. All right, buddy. Out.
Have a good one.